Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us for Keeping It Real. We are going to be talking about influencing today, aren't we, Carrie?
Yes, we are. We talk a lot about the products that we have and the whole process, but why do people move in the first place?
Exactly. And it's going to be a good topic. So make sure you hang on and we will be right back to talk about it. So, I heard some news today or yesterday, I guess it was, that I heard that the VA is going to be letting the buyers pay their buyer broker at least some amount. We don't know what amount yet, right? But some amount.
Yeah. I know that is good news because in the article that you sent me, it did say that's the only loan program that they don't allow for somebody to pay for their own buyer broker agency fee. And with it being such a big thing in Washington, we want to make sure that our veterans and active duty still have the same advantage as everybody else when they're putting in an offer. So it's good news. Just can't wait to see if they're going to cap the percentage that they're allowed to cover. So we'll wait for that announcement.
So we're watching it and we will definitely let you know. But that was one of the things that put that in place to protect them. But right now it's kind of hurting them. So it's a good thing that they're able to start doing this, at least in some regards. So, right. But like I said, we'll bring it back and we'll talk about it next time around. But let's go ahead and jump in. You ready for today?
I am, yeah.
Perfect. Because I'm sitting here and I'm in Nebraska and it was supposed to be beautiful and sunny. And guess what? We had rain this morning.
Oh, that's funny.
But it is almost 90 degrees, so I'm happy.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about the 90 degrees, but it's
oh my God, I missed it. That airplane ride was so cold yesterday. By the time I got off, I was like, oh, sun.
Soak it up.
All right. Let's dive in. So we're talking today about what influences people when they buy their homes, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and kind of just let Carrie take over this because she prepared this for us today, and I'll just throw my little 2 cents in as we go. Go ahead, Carrie.
And I think that's a great collaboration, and we do that well. But, a lot of things, like I said, that we haven't addressed yet is why people move. A lot of people have to relocate because of their job. A lot of people military, but some of it could have to do with now I'm a parent and my child is going to be going to school soon. So I need to figure out where the best place for me is going to be to raise a family. So
or even sometimes it's before you have kids, but maybe it's like a younger couple or something and they're thinking about having kids. That's one of the things I talk to them about when I'm going through. It's like, okay, so I kind of ask those questions sometimes. Are you planning on having little ones? Because if you do, you might want to consider a couple other factors. So we'll keep going, moving ahead, and we'll get into some of those factors.
So, yeah.
I think this is probably the most important one, though. I mean, it really is because, it's like sometimes you just walk into a neighborhood and it's like, oh my God, I feel like home. And other times you walk in and say, I am so uncomfortable in this neighborhood. And it might be too busy. It might be too open. It might be too closed. It might be, there's just so many different things that,
Oh yeah. When we were looking for a home, there were neighborhoods I drove into and I said, we're not even going to go look at the house. I cannot. The vibe, it doesn't feel safe to me. You could tell by looking at the other homes on the street that people didn't care about their homes. So just made me think, oh gosh, what is this going to be like living here? People don't even care to upkeep the outside of their homes. So one of the things that kept my husband and I here after he retired from the military is that first thing, the sense of belonging. Even though this is a larger community, we still have that hominess feel to it. You could still go places and know who you are going to run into. And just knowing that you are a part of your community.
Right.
But being safe is huge.
And a lot of times when you're renting, I know we've talked about kind of like the differences between renting and buying and stuff like that. But a lot of times when you're renting, and if you're not quite ready to buy, that's a great time to really dive into some of those communities and get that to figure out, does this make sense for me? Is this like a good place for me and to be a positive influence? Okay, keep going. All right. School districts. We talked about that. We just brought that one up a little bit. That's
a huge factor for a lot of people.
And I went to a conference when I was back in Washington. They had a kind of a planning meeting. I forgot what it was. Housing. It was kids up housing or something like that. I think was the name of the conference. But one of the things that I heard is it's what really drives the community is the school districts. And Kitsap So we've got South Kitsap, we've got Bremerton, and then we have Central Kitsap, and then we have North Kitsap, right? So we've got all these different ones. Well, Central Kitsap recently, I mean, they had a bunch of levies and they were supported, and they went in and they built some incredibly beautiful schools. They took down some old schools. I mean, it was, and there was a reason, because these schools were falling apart. I mean, like, they had leaks, they had all this stuff going on. And one of the things I heard is that when a school gets older than 50 years old, you need to kind of throw it out and get a new one, because you're just bandaging it and you can't fix it. I mean, it's going to keep breaking and it's not ever going to be. And, kids need a nice, safe, clean environment to study in. And so Central Kitsap did that. And then I know Bremerton's been working on getting their levy passed, because they've got some older schools and they're trying to do that. But, that kind of sends a message like, oh, I might want to move here, because they're really caring about the schools and the community's pulling together and they're trying to make the schools better for the community and for the kids. And the ones that don't do that necessarily are falling behind a little bit. So, if you were looking, I don't know, maybe Tacoma or something, I don't know what their school districts like. I don't usually work in Tacoma, but, but you might go there and say, hey, like, they're not nearly as kept up and stuff. And then, wow, look at Kitsap's, and then you're going to look at some other factors. Did I cover everything, or did I talk too much?
One thing I wanted to point out is, how does it affect your home value? If you have a desirable school, it's definitely going to increase your property value, because people want to live there. And so the demand for the housing is higher. So it's definitely good for the value of your home to live in a good school district as well.
All right. Perfect. All right. This is kind of a given, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. You have to know, like, a lot of people, the pandemic changed a lot of things for people. Lots of people started working from home. But guess what? Even if you're working from home, you want to make sure it's not a long trip to the grocery store. Target, I mean, let's face it. Who wants to be more than 15 minutes from Target? But any other amenities too. And if you don't have a vehicle, or you're trying to go green, are there good access roads for bicycling? Is there good public transportation? Because I don't have a vehicle. Those are all things people have to factor in.
Right. Oh, and back to that conference I went to, just so I can share, because I learned a whole bunch of really cool information. So again, in Bremerton and Kitsap County, they bought one school bus, or one regular city bus, not school bus, but regular city bus that was electric. And they were testing it out, and they can't just get, like, they had to try a couple different ones out. So they got a couple different ones and tested them out, but they found what they really like. And so I guess they're going to have like 80 new electric buses going around. So, wow. I mean, they built two. They built one on Wheaton, I know, a bus place, a transfer station. I know they're building one in Silverdale, and I believe they're going to have another one, I think, more towards Kitsap Way. So, it's like they're really working on the infrastructure in Kitsap County. So another really good highlight to share there, as far as like it's going to increase where people are going to want to live.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. They're putting in a brand new transfer station right on Buckland Hill. And no, is it Ridgetop when you get off there? And then there's one at the trails. So yeah. Oh, all good stuff.
And then on Wheaton, and then they're going to build another one. They're working on another one. So
yeah,
they're building a lot of them.
That's great.
Don't know how traffic's going to go, but okay. This is the one, it's like when I have talks with my buyers, Kerri, one of the things I do is, I'm asking, like, okay, so you want 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, you want 2 baths, you want, a yard that has okay. But I start asking personal stuff. I said, okay, so what kind of hobbies do you do? Like, do you play piano? Do you, do you have a lot of animals? Do you like to raise chickens? Do you have a boat? What about motorcycles, extra cars? I mean, like, all these questions, and they're kind of like, why are you asking me all these personal? Because you need to know where to store them, and you need to make sure that, the land that you're going to buy, but you have a shop or whatever, is going to meet those needs. And so if you have a lot of, fun toys and stuff like that, then you're going to want probably a place to store them at, and enough space to store them.
Yeah, like if you like to kayak, right? You need to have a place to keep your kayak.
Oh, yes, I love to kayak. 3 days. 3 days last week, and it was glorious.
Yes, and that's it. If you love to kayak, you need to make sure you're close to water. So all of these things are factored in. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So those are important questions. And you might like hiking. And so maybe you want to be like by hiking trails, or, like Kerri just said, and like I do, you love kayaking. So, being like a couple miles from the water so I can throw my kayak in and head out. Those are really important things. I don't think I could ever go back to not being near water where I could kayak. I mean, I think I would just have to find a place. So
exactly.
If you're mountain climbing or something, there you go. So anyway, all those things. So that's another big thing. Okay, go ahead, Kerri.
I'm going to say, be prepared to like hear dog barking because my husband just drove up. So economic factors and employment opportunities. This is a huge one. What is the job market going to be like here? Are people trending up with jobs? Is the pay increase good? Around here, a lot of people come because we have the shipyards and the military bases, and they're able to get government contract jobs that pay very well. So I know right now the Navy is infusing billions of dollars into Kitsap County because they are expanding the shipyard. And so with that needs to come some infrastructure. So it's going to bring a lot more jobs to this area, and our housing needs to support the influx of people that we're going to have. So Absolutely. You're looking at the job market. How stable is the economy here? What's the median income of people in the area? And what does the future growth look like? Yeah.
So we moved to the Kitsap area. It's been 26 years ago, maybe even going on 27 now. Seems like a lifetime ago. But when we moved there, I mean, my husband, he had to commute over to Seattle. I mean, so his was like, can he catch the ferry and go over there and stuff like that? And, as you do that, you kind of realize maybe the ferry isn't the most reliable source, but it was an option. And then again, like with COVID and stuff, a lot of people were able to stay home and do different things and life changes and whatever. But, some people absolutely love that commute because they get to sit back after the end of the long day and watch the sunset, maybe see an orca or something. And it's like their downtime and they're reading a book and studying or whatever they're doing. And it's perfect for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Another family, it might not be so great because you have to get home to get kids and get them dinner and stuff. And it doesn't always work. So
yeah, so that extra commute time might not work for other people's schedules. Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right. So again, differences in what you need and difference in things going on. Whoops, I'm so sorry about that.
That's
way
okay.
ahead. Okay. Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
So healthcare.
The next thing is buy a hospital. I mean, I know I'm getting older and I'm not quite there yet, but I do live 10 minutes or so from the hospital. But when I was getting ready to have babies, I know being 5 minutes away was pretty important because mine would come in like a half hour. So, I did want to be long way with my hospital.
Yeah. And, one of the things is the specialized care. And that was one thing that we didn't have. But when they built the new facility, they put in a cancer unit and other things that are specialized care that we used to have to go over to Seattle for. And we now have them in our area. They also put in a VA medical care center here as well. So that's important because most of the appointments, if you have a VA disability claim, you have to go over to Seattle for them. But if you go there and say, hey, I live in Silverdale, they will then transfer you to the VA care facility in Silverdale, which is much more convenient for people.
Oh, yeah, because it'd be horrible to have to go back and forth like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not feeling good. And then the other thing I know too, they're adding, at least I know one like urgent care place. They kind of took a bunch of weight, it seemed like, for a while, but they're adding, I know, one back in Bremerton. So that's kind of cool. So it seems like they're kind of expanding and doing some more stuff with it. So I don't know. So looking at all the stuff you just told me about today with your beautiful slide that you presented to us, I think Kitsap County is a pretty good place to go hang out.
It is, but let's keep it a secret. We don't want it to grow too fast and too big. And, I put things about our community because this is where we live. And I tried to implement, different things about our county. It is a wonderful place to be. And all of the things, they factored into my decision-making when my husband and I decided where we wanted to settle with our family. So, like I said, we keep on talking about the numbers, the programs, how to go about the house hunting process, what an inspection is like. But really, the nuts and bolts of it is, where do you want to live? Where do you want to settle? So I hope this was informative for people today.
And we really do have a beautiful area there.
We do. Absolutely.
Especially if you like the water.
Yes. And, that's it. We have proximity to nature, but if you want to go do things that are not so nature related, you can do that as well. So it's got a good mix.
Absolutely. I mean, shopping's like, we've got shopping and you can go and get everything you want right around you too. So, all right, you guys, that's all we got for today. Thank you much for joining us. We appreciate being here. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and follow button, and we will see you next week. Have a great day.
See you next week.